Open your hearts, open your minds, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday of the PopLife40 symposium. My name is Edgar, and today I'm going to take you on a wonderful trip 40 years back into the past, and we're going to examine the artwork for Around the World in a Day. By far my favorite Prince album, and that's because it's the album that drew me in, as it were. It wasn't really the album, it was actually the Raspberry Beret music video, and specifically this part. Now, I really don't remember what I thought about the song Raspberry Beret at that time. I just remember that I was intrigued by this guy coughing. Who on earth coughs at the start of a music video? And why is he wearing that strange cloud suit? And then a few weeks later, I was in a store and I saw this. This was the music video that I loved, and it came to life on this album, so I had to have it. And here we are, 4 decades later. I'm still obsessed, and I still love to look at this album cover and see the world that Prince envisioned. Because even though artist Doug Henders created this album cover, it was Prince who envisioned it from start to finish. And today I want to take you with me to look at this album and discover all the things that are hidden in it. Let's go.
I wanted this album to be listened to and judged, critiqued, listened to as a whole. Dig?
And we really need to emphasize the as a whole here, because up until that point most of his albums did not tell a cohesive story that also extended into the artwork. The artwork was often mostly a portrait of Prince that somewhat reflected the vibe of the music from that era, with 1999 being the exception. And even throughout most of his career, the artwork was very often just a portrait of Prince, never really an addition to the musical narrative. There are exceptions, of course, like 1999 I just mentioned, Love Symbol, Emancipation, Lotus Flower, etc. And I believe all these albums are visually linked. I will touch upon that later. But first, let's take a look at the artwork for Around the World in a Day and how it ties in with the music and Prince's state of mind in late 1984, early 1985. He had become a global superstar, and the Purple Rain tour was a big commercial success. All involved wanted the Purple Rain momentum to last for at least a couple of more months, maybe even longer. But Prince had already moved on. In November 1984, the Purple Rain tour started in Detroit, Michigan. Fans that had bought the tour book there could already find the lyrics of the song Around the World in a Day in there. Prince had clearly moved on. By the time the tour had hit its 7th stop in December 1984, Prince had a detailed outline of what he wanted to see on the album cover artwork. We know the date as he wrote it on the back of the daily memo that all people in the crew received as a daily itinerary. So here are his handwritten notes, and as you can see, this is what he requests. 1. Olive-skinned people wearing hoods and capes of purple. Some should be white, the capes. 2. Pretty little girl aged 3 or 4 on a seesaw. She should be laughing. 3. Paisley lawns with dandelions of yellow and violets, lots of violets. 4. An old black man aged 55, crying, sitting down on a step. 5. Blue sky background with fluffy clouds. 6. A beautiful woman, exotic looking, wearing a black cape and a raspberry beret. 7. A blonde girl covered in lace eating an ice cream cone. 8. A laughing woman dressed in black who resembles Clara Bow. This woman should be hysterically laughing. 9. An obese bearded man covered with tattoos affectionately hugging a tiger. And there's another 9. 9. A small body of water on a pier, an old woman crying with a handkerchief over a love lost. 10. A ladder leading from the water into one of the clouds in the sky. 11. 2 or 3 people wearing black button-downs playing tambourines, hair shorter on one side. 12. A naked black baby running with an American flag. 13. A small Russian fighter jet flying through the sky. Shouldn't be a real focal point. 14. Doves flying and walking. 15. a juggling clown, 2 juggling balls and a globe. Prince put multiple artists to work to realize this vision. One of them was painter Jim Warren, who came up with this picture. Now as you can see, Warren followed the notes very closely. Jim Warren followed these notes exactly. If you study the painting, you'll see all images Prince requested. In late January 1985, Warren was flown to Cincinnati with his unfinished painting so he could show Prince his progress. Supposedly Prince asked him to finish it, but it's more likely that at that point in time he had already decided on other artwork. Simultaneously with Warren, artist Doug Henders had also been working on artwork. Now Doug Henders was a jack of all trades. He was working as a handyman / carpenter on the Purple Rain tour, he was the guy filming each concert, and he was also the artist that had designed and painted the face in the When Doves Cry video. It was also used in the Purple Rain inner sleeve and on the walls of Prince's bedroom in the Purple Rain movie. And Henders had received the very same list as Warren, and because he had access to all band members and crew, he was on the tour after all, he decided to model the characters on the sleeve after all of them. So here are some of his Polaroid studies, starting with himself as the guy with the blue cloud suit. And here's Susanna Melvoin as the violin lady. Sheila E is the girl covered in lace eating an ice cream cone. A girl called Julia is the crying woman. Hairdresser Earl Jones, labeled as Uncle Earl, was the old man crying. Now you might notice that the girl with the violin and the guy in the blue suit are not part of the original list of characters. There are more on the final artwork and others have disappeared. It is most likely that the obese bearded man covered with tattoos had to be modeled after bodyguard Chick Hunsberry. Henders had taken a Polaroid, but this was also the time that Hunsberry was more or less leaving the Prince camp. Supposedly the woman with the cape and the beret is modeled after silent movie actress Renee Adderley. And the laughing woman that resembles Clara Bow actually is Clara Bow. And Henders had created a world for them to live in. It's all there, the ladder, the pier, the body of water, the lawns with the dandelions. And from here you can fill it in yourself, the people with the hoods and the capes. There they are, the girl on the seesaw, the old man crying. Supposedly Prince had been gifted a little dog around that time, so that was painted in as well. Here's the woman with the beret. Now somewhere along the way the blonde girl has turned into a red-haired crossdresser. Now here's Clara Bow, starring as herself. The man with the tiger was removed, but in its place came the girl with the violin, a doctor-like figure with a letter in his hand, and the man in the blue cloud suit. Supposedly Prince had been experimenting with blonde hair at the time, so it's likely that this guy is modeled after Prince. But so is the guy in the doctor suit, of course. Here's the crying woman, a man in black with a tambourine, a baby with a flag, the Russian fighter in the sky, doves, juggling clown, and on top of that, of course, there's the sticker with the boy and the balloon, which wasn't actually Doug Henders' design, but it fits right in. And there you have it, the album artwork for Around the World in a Day. And we have not talked yet about the female body in the background, of course, but we'll get to that later. What does it all mean? Basically, most of it is a reflection of the lyrics on the album. The girl on the seesaw, the woman crying are straight from the lyrics of the song Paisley Park. The woman in the beret, well, I don't need to explain. And the figure in black is holding the tambourine exactly where you'd expect it, judging by the lyrics of the song Tambourine. And although they are not mentioned, the warplanes fit right in with the theme of America. And the centerpiece of the painting is a ladder reaching out of the water into the sky. It's not a purple ladder from Around the World in a Day lyrics, but it's obviously the ladder that leads to salvation from the song The Ladder. It's the second time we see a ladder reaching into what looks to be heaven in Prince's album artwork. The first time it can be seen on the 1999 artwork. And if you look closely, there are 2 ladders on the Around the World in a Day artwork. Like I just mentioned, the doctor figure is holding a small ladder in his hand. Many religions and cultures recognize the symbolic transformative meaning of the ladder, from Dogon ladders in Mali to shamanic traditions from India and Tibet. And in Christianity, Islam, Orphism and Mithraism, among others, the ladder symbolizes spiritual development, mythical ascent and salvation. And of course, as the song would have it, everybody wants salvation of the soul. Later during this virtual symposium, Chris Johnson will dive deeper into the meaning of the song The Ladder, so I won't go too deep into that. But within this artwork, the ladder is connecting the earth and the heavens above, like Jacob's ladder in the Bible. And the visual follows the announcement from April 3rd, 1985 that Prince would retire from performing to search for the letter. Now if you look into the lyrics of the song, it says everybody is looking for the letter. Yet if you look closely at the artwork, none of the people on the album cover are actually looking at the letter. And it's right there in front of them. Well, except maybe 2 of the 3 olive-skinned people that already seem to have ascended above the others in the painting. The third one looks away, and you see some people on the album artwork actually looking straight at us. The album sleeve has often been compared to the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Well, later today, Zach Hoskins will explain exactly why the influence wasn't the Beatles. But the color palette is similar, so you understand why people were thinking that. And both albums feature artwork that keeps revealing hidden messages with every passing year. The Beatles album cover is clearly a funeral, and there you have crying people as well. But my interpretation is that Around the World in a Day album cover is more likely the next step. It's purgatory, with temptation always hiding in the background. Notice the shape of the hills? It can only be seen when you fold out the album cover in its entirety. And it's clearly a naked woman's body. And speaking of that body, I believe that this is not the only time we see this world Prince envisioned in his artwork. In 2023, I did a presentation for the artwork of 1999. And like I just mentioned, that's the first album that's to feature a letter on the cover of the album. And you can visually match albums like Lotus Flower, NPL Sound and Love Symbol from there. And from Around the World in a Day, the artwork, you can go into a different direction with within the same universe. When you look at 2010, for instance, you see a similar world with water and people and mountains in the back. Only the letter is missing. But the female, she's on the cover. This time the body is missing, you can only see the shape of the head. And more obvious is the spread inside the Emancipation booklet. Again, there's the water, the people, in this case Prince and Maite plus their immediate family, and the mountains in the back resembling 2 human bodies this time. A pregnant woman on one end and Prince himself on the other. And maybe I'm wrong, but within the Emancipation artwork, Prince seems to be dressed like one of the olive-skinned people from the Around the World in a Day artwork. And of course, planet Earth is omnipresent in Prince's artwork. You can see it here on the cover of Around the World in a Day, floating in the sky, and it's from the very same angle as you can see it in the Emancipation artwork, underlying once again that this album cover art is not on Earth, it's somewhere else. A place in your heart maybe? And it still doesn't answer what it all means, of course. It's just my interpretation, and I'm sure you all have your interpretations, and that's great. That's what art should be. You should wonder, you should dive in, you should live in this world, and the artwork is part of the music, which I love, of course. This is, like I said, this is by far my favorite album, but we're here just to talk about the artwork today. Now, part of it was also used for the cover artwork of the singles from that era, such as Raspberry Beret and PopLife. The boy with the American flag was used for the America single cover, but as you can see, the image had to be repainted to fit. And in the video for Raspberry Beret, the artwork was brought to life. And that's of course where my love for Prince and my love for this album comes full circle. This being the first presentation of many today, and many roundtables will follow as well. I wanted to keep it light, I wanted to keep it fun. The deep dives will come from other people today. I hope you enjoyed this first presentation, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your symposium. Thank you for watching, see you soon. Bye.